The other gunboat, which had no lights on it, no searchlights when it came at us, came at about, I think, 40 degrees to our bow to strike us, and its bow rode up over, and in fact, as I said, into the wheelhouse. But there's something about that the way one gunboat plays its searchlight onto the hull of a civilian ship at 5:30 in the morning, in the dark and in a stiff sea, while the other rapacious, lethal master drives his boat at our bow. That, I think, captures the mentality of the people and the military there, and perhaps our military here, I don't know. Although I don't think any naval man here would ram a civilian boat who knew it was no risk to it. Well, the thing is, it's in detail, but it shows the mentality, and it shows the psychopath in it, actually, and that's my theme that I keep returning to. That's what's happening now, a psychopath. I wasn't surprised when their threats were carried out, that is, that they would stop the ships and board them and put them under tow to Ashdod or Haifa. And I suppose it was part of my reason, in fact it was part of my reason for not joining the boats this time, because Sue had a rough time, my wife. She's a gentle person, she hates violence, actually, like a lot of women do. And I thought about it and decided not to go. Another reason was that if I in fact was, like these people have been, imprisoned after being taken off the boats, I might not have with me a few pills that I need. I need a beta blocker to stop me getting atrial fibrillation, which can lead to a clotting in your heart and a stroke, to be quite blunt about it. And so that was the thought, and I would have been anxious, not too anxious, but I would not have liked being separated from a particular thing. So I didn't go. And another thing, you talked about the charity. We talked about the charity. I was very keen to send about £10,000 worth of milk powder from Ireland, where the boat was loading. It was in fact crewed by Irish people, and I contacted Derry. It wasn't easy, and in fact eventually I was pleased it didn't happen, because I thought the chances of getting this milk powder to children in Gaza, and they're short of it, the high quality protein is lacking there. There is widespread malnutrition. About a third of the mums and a third of the youngsters are undeficient. Did you know that? Undeficient. In 2010. No meat's allowed in, I understand, through the Israeli border, Kfar Sharon. And so, anyway, that's just the background. So I didn't go on the thing, but of course I was following it and wishing them well. And I can't remember, I went to bed when the threats were being issued, and woke up at 6 to find that they'd in fact boarded the big Turkish cruise vessel. And although they've lied right, left and centre, they've selected carefully what videos they've shown for general consumption worldwide on the mainstream media, and I'm sure some of that is probably doctored as well. Anyway, it's certainly selected, but they've turned it round to say they were attacked. Well, we know that the ship, this big ship, was shot at by there were 11 naval vessels, or 11 or 13, 11 I think, surrounding this flotilla, and they were shooting at the Marmara before any boarding took place via helicopter and rope. And there's quite a few things about that, which we might discuss later. But I think that there was some targeting of some of the individuals on the boat. That leads me back to the Dignity, where we had a little impromptu press conference on the dock before our ship cast off. And there were 3 journalists there, so-called, and I'm sure one was a spy. They were taking photographs of us. They had the final crew list, and they would have known what we had been saying and doing for our Palestinian sisters and brothers. It's exactly the same on the Marmara. So there is a feeling there that was I'm pretty certain that the killing was planned. We hear that 9 people died, or at least 9, we don't know what it is, and quite extraordinary. If there was a plane crash, you'd have a passenger list, you'd be told pretty immediately how many corpses there were and how many people had survived. In this case, we don't know that. So the people, there's about 41 English people, or British people on the boat, and those mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters have been going through a very anxious time, wondering whether their loved one is one of the corpses or not. Now, whether that's deliberate, I don't know. I think it may be partly poor organisation. What they've been trying to do is to hold back the worse information and eyewitness reports until the crest of outrage has dissipated, has ebbed away in the populations. It's not ebbing away, I don't think. That's what they're hoping. But that's one reason why they're imprisoned. So they've taken away their mobiles, their cameras, their tapes, and I bet you'll make jolly sure that most of those actually are erased before they come back to them. So the thing was, I have to say, it was deliberate. It is based on psychopathic personalities in their leadership and in some of their military, probably in all a good deal of their military, and that its purpose, I don't know what the purpose is. People say that it was partly to do with Turkey offering to deal with Iran's nuclear enrichment. I can't remember the exact arrangements, but I know it's been brushed aside by the Americans and the Israelis. I can't think it's as simple as that. I think it's about this. When I go across the Israeli borders, now I haven't been allowed to for the last 18 months. I tried twice, applied to them and told that I cannot. But when you go across, you know that they hate you helping Palestinians. They hate it. They regard them as I said, I think in a talk recently, not as the Untermenschen, the under people, but as the Untermenschen. Hardly hardened snakes. I really mean it, actually. It is extraordinary. You feel a hatred in them. They say, why are you doing this? I was told once, why was I helping Palestinian children? I was coming out of so-called Ben Gurion Airport, what we call Lud Airport, which was the name of the Palestinian town, which is erased there. And you know this in them, actually. So that was a very strong thing. They talk about weapons going into Gaza, rockets from Syria and Iran, demonize those countries, to vilify them. But the strong motive is they do not want you to come to the aid of the Palestinian people. They hate it. It's partly for that reason that no Israelis are allowed into the Palestinian areas. Some succeed in doing that, like Almira Hass, the journalist, but it's also partly because, of course, the risk of kidnapping, perhaps. But it's a lot to do with this feeling that these people should be shunned, isolated, life made so difficult that they leave Palestine. All the time they're creating mechanisms where families are thinned down and people emigrate. One of our trustees is a Palestinian, Anglo-Palestinian, mum's English. 4 siblings, 3 of them in this country. And that's what they want, do you see? So this is part of this process of cleansing Israel, inverted commas, the Zionist entity, as I call it, cleansing the Zionist entity of all Palestinian Arabs, be they Christian, only about 1% now, used to be 20%, in 1948, it's now 1%. But whoever they are, the fact that they are Arab, and especially if they're Muslim, they have to be out. And they're using every mechanism in the book to do that. They're not achieving it, mind you, but by Jove, they're trying hard, with every cruel trick in the book. Imprisoning children, there's 300 children in prison at the moment. A lot of women. There's about 10,000 people imprisoned in Palestine, in the Zionist entity, Palestinians, and some of them are in what they call administrative detention. It's in fact a hangover from our wonderful mandate, our cruel mandate that existed between 22 and 1948, when the Zionists fought their way through with their gangs to dominate the country by arms and sheer determination. And this administrative detention, you don't know the charge. It's not like people in Guantanamo. Same thing, really. You don't know what you're charged with, but you're incarcerated You don't know how long you've been incarcerated for. Some of these people have been in for years. Do you know that when they had elections in 2006, and Hamas gained the majority seats, 56 seats in their legislature, from 43% of the vote, almost immediately they arrested about 9 of the legislators, most of whom were Hamas. They decided, after election, to arrest their MPs, in effect. Did you know that? Isn't it? It's beyond all law, beyond words, isn't it? Evil beyond words.